Hello everyone. In this session, let us design a buffer. In fact, we are going to design a FIFO buffer. The first and foremost question is, what is a FIFO buffer and why we do require to design and implement a FIFO buffer, where we use. If you could recall, we have designed a synchronous communication interface, that is an interface. Again, if you want to communicate with the peripheral devices, we do require an interface. For several reasons, we do use an interface to communicate with the peripheral devices because CPU can never talk to the peripheral devices directly. For that, we do use an interface. Already we discussed about the design mechanism of an interface, in which, if you could actually recall, we used a buffer. Look at the picture. This is the bidirectional bus which connects our interface to the CPU. When the CPU makes a transfer to the peripheral device, initially the data will get stored in this bus buffers I told you guys. For this, let us access those videos in which I explained about the working principles of an interface. Again, when CPU wants to communicate with the peripheral devices, CPU sends the data through this bus system, after which the data will get stored in this bus buffers. It is simply because CPU is a faster device and the peripheral devices cannot receive the data as the data is being transmitted by the CPU. CPU is very faster and the peripheral devices, when it compared to the CPU, are very slower. So initially the data which is being sent from the CPU will get stored in this bus buffers. So these bus buffers will act as intermediate storage buffers. Once after these bus buffers gets accumulated, the data will get slowly transmitted to these peripheral devices. Even when data transmission is incoming from peripheral device to the CPU, things will be the same. Initially, a peripheral device is going to send the data, let us say a keyboard. Keyboard want to make a transfer. Initially, the data which is going to be sent or transferred from the keyboard will get initially stored in the bus buffers, because the transmission will happen very slowly, because you know that the keyboard is the slowest devices, one of the slowest devices perhaps, and the data items that are being transmitted by the keyboard will initially get stored in this bus buffers, later which from this bus buffers, once after the buffer has been completely accumulated, data will get transferred to the CPU at a faster rate. For this reason, we do require to design a bus buffer. It is purely because of the mismatch of the speed levels between the CPU and the peripheral devices. CPU works very faster and the peripheral devices cannot work as faster as the CPU. Data will be sent and received by the CPU very faster. Similarly, in proportional to this, peripheral devices will not be able to anticipate to the speed by the CPU. So what we do is, we do use a bus buffer. In this bus buffers, data items will get stored. Either it is outgoing from the CPU or incoming to the CPU. The data will get located in the bus buffer. Now we will design these bus buffers. In fact, we will call it as a FIFO buffer, first in, first out buffer. Let us see how we're going to design. Have a look at the screen. This is a FIFO buffer. First of all, understand what are the elements of this FIFO buffer. There are 4 registers. The size of this FIFO buffer is 4 registers. It is not 4 registers because why I used 4 registers, because to make it very simple, the buffer size can be 1024 to 2048 words at the same time. If you do have 4 registers, you will be able to store 4 bytes of data at the same time, 4 words of the data at the same time. Here it is shown that one register size is equal to 4 bit. The register size could be either 8 bits or 16 bits, depending on the word size within the CPU. But in order to make the thing simple, we used a 4-bit register, and the total size of the buffer is just limited to the 4 words. Once again, let us understand very clearly. there is no restriction on the size of the register. It depends on the size of one word in your computer system. If it is equal to 16 bits, of course, this register size will also be equal to 16 bits. And if you do want to construct a FIFO buffer with a size of 1024 words, by simply increasing the number of registers in the buffer, you will be able to do so. So this is this one. This is the size of the buffer. Here, size of the buffer is 4 and size of each register is 4 bits. Now let us see how this is going to function. First of all, a question to be asked. How many registers you able to find in this diagram? Obviously, you can say 4 registers. Let me tell you, we do have 5 registers in fact on the screen in this diagram. Where is the 5th register? Look at this downside. At the bottom of this diagram, you do have 4 flip-flops, 4 SR flip-flops. You know that one register is just nothing but a combination of a flip-flops. A collection of flip-flops is going to constitute a register, in which all these 4 flip-flops are also going to constitute one more register, in which in this diagram the total registers becomes 5. 4 registers are the registers which are going to store the words, but there is a 5th register which is constituted by appending 4 flip-flops together, but this is called a control flip-flop. This flip-flop is used to control the flow of the data items in and out of these registers. By using these 4 flip-flops, we'll be able to control the flow of the data items to and from these registers. Let us see the working principle of this FIFO buffer. Let us say that the CPU wants to make a transfer. Initially, we need to think that here I do have a CPU. At this side, I do have a peripheral device here. Now, let us say the CPU wants to make a transfer. You know that all the words will get accumulated into the FIFO buffer initially. What is going to exactly happen? The moment when CPU wants to make a transfer into the FIFO buffer, it will enable this insert line initially. That is, a word is going to be inserted in this FIFO buffer. In addition to this insert line, when a data is ready, an input ready line will also be invoked. You can see these 2 lines. One is insert line, one more is input ready line. When the CPU is ready with the data transmission, it just wants to make a transfer to this first register. So the first data word is about to be transferred to this register, but this register will not take the data word unless the insert line and the input ready line are enabled. The moment the insert line and the input ready line are enabled, you can clearly see this insert line and the input ready line are connected to an AND gate, and the output of the AND gate is connected to the clock which is going to drive this entire register. You can see there is a clock. When this clock is enabled, then this register is going to accept the data which is actually awaiting outside. You know that the CPU initiated a transfer. So a data word is about to be transferred to the first register. So in order to make this register accept the data word which is waiting outside, the insert line and the input ready line will be enabled. The moment these gets enabled, as these are connected to the AND gate, the output of this AND gate, as it is connected to a clock, this clock will get triggered. As the clock gets triggered, immediately this register is going to accept the data which is waiting outside. Now, let us have a look at the other line which is connected from this line. The output of the AND gate is also connected to the S input of this flip-flop. This flip-flop is a control flip-flop for this register. You know that every register, you can see that every register has a corresponding flip-flop. This flip-flop corresponds to the first register, this flip-flop corresponds to the second register, this flip-flop corresponds to the third register, this flip-flop similarly corresponds to the fourth register. If the flip-flop value is equal to 1, then that means that the corresponding register has some data. If this flip-flop is 0, that means that the data within the register is not valid. One more data word can be transferred into this register. Let us see how it is going to happen. Once again, insert line and input ready line will be enabled by the CPU in order to make a transfer of the data word into this register. The moment insert and input ready are enabled, these are going to trigger this AND gate output. As the output is connected to a clock, the clock will be set. When the clock is triggered, then this register is going to accept the data which is transferred from the CPU. The moment the output of the AND gate is enabled, you can see that this AND gate output is connected to the S flip-flop, S input of the flip-flop. Then S will be equal to 1. The moment S is equal to 1, the value of the flip-flop will be equal to 1. You know that the function of the SR flip-flop. When SR flip-flop value is equal to 1, then that means that the flip-flop is in a set state. When S is equal to 1, flip-flop is going to hold 1. When S is equal to 0, the flip-flop is going to hold a 0. Now, as the S is equal to 1, it is going to show the status of this register that this register has some valid data. Again, as the flip-flop value is equal to 1, the corresponding register to this flip-flop has a valid data transferred and available to make a subsequent transfer to the next flip-flop. When S is equal to 1, obviously reset will be equal to 0. Okay. Now, this register has a value which has to be transferred to the next register. But does the next register accept the data immediately? No. Next register doesn't accept the data immediately unless the clock is enabled, unless the clock is triggered. Let us see how the clock is going to get triggered. As the S is equal to 1, you know that F1 will also be equal to 1. As the S is equal to 1, F1 is equal to 1. As S is equal to 1, R is equal to 0 and F1 complement is also equal to 0. Now, as S is equal to 1, F1 is equal to 1. This 1 is connected to one of the input of the second AND gate. And second input of this AND gate is connected from F2's complement. You know that when this flip-flop is not working, R will be equal to 1, F2 is equal to 1, S is equal to 0 and F2 is equal to 0. Once again, R is equal to 1 and F2 complement is equal to 1, bigger part. When flip-flop is in a reset state, set will be equal to 0 and F2 is also equal to 0. Now, from the second flip-flop, F1 complement, rather F2 complement is connected to the AND gate, and from the first flip-flop, F1 is connected to this AND gate. As both are equal to 1. Once again, why both will be equal to 1? This flip-flop is active, meaning this flip-flop is equal to 1, meaning the corresponding register has the data. Of course, as the data transfer is just initiated, you know that in the second register, there is no data at all. As the second register doesn't hold a data, obviously F2 complement will be equal to 1. As the F2 complement is equal to 1 and it is connected to this AND gate, it will be equal to 1 and F1 is already equal to 1. Both are going to trigger this clock. When the clock is triggered, the data from the first register will get transferred to the second register. You know that when the first register's data gets transferred to the second register, the first register data should be invalid, meaning the first register data should be emptied. How are we going to make it? Simply by making the value of the flip-flop to 0. When the value of a flip-flop to 0, it states that the corresponding value within the register is equal to 0. So, the moment this clock is enabled, you can clearly see the output of the AND gate is connected to reset. First flip-flop reset input is connected to the output of the second AND gate. So, here reset will be equal to 0. When reset is equal to 0, reset will be equal to 1 bigger part. Output of the AND gate is connected to reset. So this is output of the AND gate is equal to 1. 1 and 1 will make the output of the AND gate is equal to 1. Once again, the output of the second AND gate has been taken from F1 of the first flip-flop, F2 complement of the second flip-flop. F1 is anyhow equal to 1 because we do have a valid data within the register and the flip-flop value is already equal to 1. Both triggers this AND gate. As the AND gate is triggered, this clock will get triggered. When the clock gets triggered, it is going to accept, this register is going to accept the value from the previous register. When the value of this register is transferred to this register's data should be emptied. For that, the output of the AND gate is connected to the reset input of the first flip-flop. That means that reset input will be equal to 1. When reset input is equal to 1, set input will be equal to 0, which means that this flip-flop is equal to 0. When this flip-flop is equal to 0, the data within this register is not valid at all, is considered to be not valid at all. That means that this register is completely empty. Now similarly, as this data, rather as the value within this register is available right now, we should make a transfer to the next register. You know that unless the clock is enabled, the next register doesn't accept the data. How to enable this clock, you know already right now. Set is equal to 1 right now. As the register holds the data, this set input will be equal to 1, which is driven by this clock, which is driven by the output of the AND gate. S is equal to 1. As S is equal to 1, this register is going to have a value. When register has a value, the value is needed to be transferred to the next register. For that, F2 is connected to the next AND gate. F2 is connected to the next AND gate. Second input from this AND gate, you know that will be collected from F3's complement. You know that this register is not having any data, which means that R is equal to 1. F3 is also equal to 1. When both are equal to 1, F3 as it is connected to the second input of the AND gate, the AND gate output will be equal to 1. Once again, F2 is already equal to 1 because this register has a data and this flip-flop value will be equal to 1. F2 value is connected to one of the inputs of the AND gate. Second input of the AND gate is collected from F3's complement. When F3's complement is equal to 1, this AND gate will be triggered. Obviously, F3 complement will be equal to 1 because there is no data available in this register. So F3 complement is equal to 1 and F2 is equal to 1. Both will trigger this clock. At the same time, the output of the AND gate triggers set input of this flip-flop and also triggers reset input of the previous flip-flop, which makes the data in the previous register equal to 0 because the data of this register has just been transferred to the next register. Once again, now the flow of instructions will be the same. The flow of operations will be the same rather. Now in R3 we do have the data. From R3 to R4 there has to be a transfer. How we are going to make a transfer? We need to trigger this clock. Unless the clock is triggered, this fourth register doesn't accept the data from the third register. How are we going to make it? Already you know that when this register has the data, F3 will be equal to 1. F3 is connected to this AND gate, and this AND gate second input is also connected from F4's complement. As this register doesn't hold any data, F4 complement will be equal to 1, and both collectively is going to trigger this AND gate. There is an other input for this AND gate. We'll discuss about that in a short while. As the AND gate is triggered, this clock will get triggered and fourth register is going to accept the data from the third register. The moment the data from the third register is transferred to the fourth register, third register data should be emptied. How are we going to make it? Simply by connecting the output of the AND gate to the reset input of this previous flip-flop. And similarly, in order to make this data valid, the output of the AND gate should be connected to the S input of this flip-flop. Now let us understand what is this third input to this AND gate. Third input of this AND gate. That is, we do have a NOR gate. What is this NOR gate? There is a delete. What is this delete? The moment the data has been transferred to, let us say, one of the peripheral device, the data within the fourth register must be empty. You know that once after a transfer has been made, the previous register must be empty. In order to make the previous register empty, we are connecting the reset input to the output of the AND gate. But there is no output of the next AND gate because all the registers are already filled. Now we need to make this register free the moment it gets transferred to the output device. For that, we are going to use a delete line. The moment the data has been transferred to the next device, there is a delete line used. That delete line is going to get connected to this NOR gate. NOR gate will be equal to 1, which makes the third input. Now let us understand about this delete line precisely. When this register has a data, finally somehow or the other this data will get transferred to the output device. This F4, when it is equal to 1, there will be a signal sent to the output device that the output is ready. The moment the output device accepts the data from this register, immediately a line will be used, that is the delete line. The delete line will get connected to this NOR gate. When this is equal to 0, the output of the AND gate will be equal to 0. The output of the AND gate will be equal to 0. How to make the output of the AND gate 0? This delete line will be initially equal to 0. And you know that it is connected to the reset button. This reset button must be equal to 1 in order to state that this flip-flop is already reset. Now this 0 becomes 1 and it is connected to the reset. And now this delete line is also connected to the NOR gate. But it should not be equal to 1. The NOR gate input is equal to 1 and the output will be equal to 0. When the NOR gate output is equal to 0 and it is connected to an AND gate, obviously the output of the AND gate will be equal to 0, which makes the clock to be reset. When the clock is reset, the data is considered to be invalid. The data within the register is considered to be invalid. When this is equal to 0, you know that the output of the AND gate is connected to the set pin. The set will be equal to 0 and reset will be already equal to 1 because the reset has been connected from this delete line. Delete line is initially equal to 0 and the output of the NOT gate is equal to 1 and reset is equal to 1. And the delete line, now as it is equal to 1, it is connected to the NOR gate. We used a NOR gate. NOR gate output will be equal to 0 and this makes the output of the AND gate equals to 0. When it is equal to 0, obviously set will be equal to 0 to state that the corresponding register to this flip-flop has no valid data. The data has already been empty. This is the working principle of a FIFO buffer. When you talk about a FIFO buffer, you know that the FIFO buffer can accept the data at one rate and can be transmitted to the next device at another rate. This is a very important component within any data transmission. You know that communication interface use this buffer a lot. The size of the buffer could be from 10242 to 2048. But here we can hardly show 4 words, but the size of the buffer nowadays, which is used in an interface, could be from 1024 to 2048, from 1K to 2K. Similarly, the size of each register may also be equal to 16 to 32 bits because one word can never be 4 bits at all. One word is either 16 bits or 32 bits. This is all about FIFO buffer. Thank you.